So can you help somebody if you don't know they need help? Or can you help somebody if you don't know what they need? Imagine having a neighbor that you have an idea that they need help, but they have no way of telling you what they need or when they need it or just how badly they need it. This is one of many harsh realities the orphanages in Mexico face. So today I'd like to awaken you to the harsh reality of many hardships that orphanages in Mexico face. I believe this subject is extremely important. I've been to Mexico countless times visiting orphanages. My dad is heavily involved in doing a lot of work with orphanages in Mexico. I believe this is something that we as Americans, we as the world need to be aware of, just as we're aware of like the earthquake in Haiti or just poverty in Africa. This is something that we as brothers and sisters in the human culture or human race need to be aware of. So today I'll be discussing two main things: why many orphanages fail to receive help, and just the living conditions of many of these homes. The lack of funds and resources cause many orphanages to live in poor conditions. The branch that deals with Mexican orphanages or deals with placing children in orphanages is called the DIF. That stands for Desarrollo Integral de Familia, which translates into Integral Family Development. And that deals with all the placement. Unfortunately, this branch of the government does not actually have nearly as large of funds as they should in order to deal with this. That means that they can't place children accurately, and they can't fund the people working in the DIF for training or for better management and all those kind of areas. And because of this, often children are placed in homes or orphanages without proper documentation, which means that they cannot actually enroll in school. And this happens a lot in a lot of smaller orphanages where they're very remote and just not too much connection. According to an investigation funded by the Mexico Childling Trust, 60% or 62% of children with learning disability have absolutely no access to special education and therefore do not attend school in orphanages. Also, another harsh reality due to the lack of resources and funds is that Mexican citizens running these orphanages do not have the connections that a lot of orphanages run by Americans have. So while an American who runs a Mexican orphanage can go back to home or where they're from and get churches or everybody else involved in helping, a lot of Mexican citizens cannot do that. They don't have the relationship with a lot of people around the world. Just also due to funds, they don't have the way of communicating. A lot of I've been to a couple of orphanages where they don't even have computers or internet, and to use a phone they have to hike about a mile and a half to get a payphone. And also, just because of that too, if they did have a lot of orphanages that had help, they would divvy up. They're working together and they'll divvy up the help. And say if one orphanage needs some food, people who come to this main orphanage that's run by an American, they will distribute that to other orphanages. But because of all the drug wars and just drug cartels and just how dangerous it is, a lot of people who used to go to Mexico, like youth groups and such, don't go anymore just because of how scary it is for them now. A lot of parents don't allow them to go. This brings me to my next point, which is because there are so many children, and because of these harsh living, because of the harsh realities of funds and resources, and because there's so many children, there's not enough funds to care for them. According to an investigation by Action International Ministries, Mexico City has approximately 1,900,000 homeless children. Each of these children are found, whenever these children are found by the DF or by other families in Mexico City, they are then distributed to Mexican orphanages. Now, with that many children going to Mexican orphanages, they're going to be very packed. This means that food, education, and sleeping arrangements are very scarce, and they just don't have enough room or food. I once visited an orphanage where I couldn't even see the floor when I went to go to the living arrangements because there was just cots like all over the place. Often children were sharing the same cot, using the same blankets, and if a child was sick, they would just sleep in the corner. They wouldn't have, they often wouldn't have a room or a place where they can go if they're sick. That's infecting a lot of other children. And also the water is very unsafe. You can't drink the water if you go visit New Mexico, so they have to have a water filtration system. And it's just a little bit of a mess sometimes, so that's one extra thing that they have to pay for, along with food, while a lot of other people don't have to deal with that. So in conclusion, because of the lack of resources and funds available to them, many orphanages in Mexico face these harsh realities alone. The lack of help from the government and outside resources result in poor living conditions for them. Many children do not receive education, nutrition, or proper housing because of this. If we are reminded of and knowledgeable of these kind of situations, then we can be the help that they need. Thank you very much.
You know what? I'm sorry, I forgot to show you some pictures that I gathered.
This is a picture of a nursery in Mexico that I visited. You can see it's under construction right now. Like there's a scaffolding, stuff like that, and the roof you can't see is only partially covered. This was being used as a nursery before the construction was done on it. So right now there are no children in it because they're currently doing construction on it. But in the current state that it was used as a nursery. And this is another picture. I think my sister actually took this one. This was in a Mexican orphanage that we visited about 2 years ago. This right here is just a little playground that they built for the children. You can see that this is it's very sharp metal. You can't quite see it, but like it's very rusted, a little dangerous, and a lot of times they aren't supplied with tetanus shots. And it's just a little harsh for living conditions. Thank you very much.
All right, Marissa, what did you think?
I liked the speech very much because I think I could relate to it a lot. It's because like I've been there, I've been to Mexico, and I did help out with orphanages. So like everything that she said, like I experienced, so I knew exactly what she's talking about. The only thing is that I would watch the ums and uhs. That's mostly like it, but we all do. Also, I really liked your thesis, and I just want like maybe a couple more pictures, like really show like how many kids were actually in there. Like, I don't know if you took a lot of pictures when you're over there, but it would have been like nice to see like if you like how you said there was tons like you couldn't even see the floor, like just like if you could have got pictures or like I said I've been down there, so I know like there's a lot of scenes and how like sad it is, and like just to kind of like get the point across of more of like. Because like it's one thing like just like to say it, but like to show people exactly what like you went through and what you saw. I mean, I think it would have like kind of gotten more of their attention. But other than that, I really liked it.
All right, the rhetorical question at the beginning is okay. I think it's a little awkward and could be. This is a place where telling a story, I think, might work really well, especially one of the stories of your experiences down there. The topic's very clear. You've got a good, clear thesis statement. The layout of the structure is pretty solid. When you get to the body of the speech, there are a couple of places where you have some data, and I think that you need to cite that data a little bit more consistently, and you need a little bit more information, because you're frequently making statements like most of the kids here, or a lot of the places where this happens, or many situations occur, and you know, I don't doubt what you were saying, but some of it sounds pretty dramatic. You've got the one statistic that talks about kids with learning disabilities have no access to special education. It didn't seem to be specific in the statistic to kids who are in orphanages, but just generally to kids with learning disabilities. Is there a greater percentage, for instance, of kids with disabilities in the orphanages? How onerous the problems are in those circumstances could be cited a little bit more clearly. I've got to agree with the issue about. I'm sorry.